Welcome to the Ref Room, hockey talk for referees, coaches, players, and fans.
Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
With your hosts, Scott Smokin Silz and Brad Baumruck.
Live.
The Ref Room starts right now.
And now your host.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ref Room. I am Scott Smokin Silz, and today I am joined by my man, Bret Straley. Welcome, Bret.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Good to be here. I know I'm no Brad Baumruck, but I'm still happy to be here.
Well, you got a nice background, though, behind you, so always looks good.
Thank you.
And, you know,
Appreciate
it's not your first time here at the rodeo with us, so, you know, we'll have some fun today. We got a couple things we're going to cover. Our subject today is going to be working with less experienced officials. I didn't say younger, I didn't say older, but less experienced officials, because that is something that we have a lot of going on right now. And Brad, I thought he was going to join us. He's hobnobbing tonight. You know, he's got somewhere to be, apparently, getting a really good steak dinner. So if he checks in, cool. If not, we'll just kind of roll through this and cover some stuff, and we'll have some fun. But I'm glad you could be here, so thanks for doing that. And, you know, basically, I know we've all been working a lot of games, and as the season is gone, something we were talking about, we have a lot of officials now. We actually do have a lot of officials, but we don't have a lot of experienced officials. And I think you were sharing some numbers. Do you want to share some numbers based on, like, where we are with new officials or newer officials versus our experienced level 3s and 4s?
Yeah, absolutely. When we think about some of the less experienced officials, generally what we're going to do is categorize those as our 1s or 2s. And right now, as we know, within the USA Hockey realm, at least, as of November 30th, if you weren't completely registered, you're now no longer eligible to officiate games. And what that does here in Illinois is it takes a huge number of officials out of the pool. We'll call, I don't want to say lazy, but maybe they just were behind.
Well, do we have a lot of guys that did not complete, that are like, did we?
Well, there are a lot of incomplete officials out there, just in general. And I don't know really where we sit as compared to the past. But what I'll tell you right now is fully complete officials. So that's officials that are eligible to officiate games in Illinois currently. There's 1,110.
That's a lot.
Of the
That's
1,110,
more than we've had in a couple of years. Am I right?
I think it's a little bit less. Generally, I think we've been roaming right around the 12 to 1,300 mark.
All right. That's cool.
But here's the kicker, right? We talk about less experienced officials. Of that 1,110, 769 of those are level 1s or 2s. So that's 69%.
Yeah.
So when we think about what we're seeing out there, we've got a lot of work to do to help bring these newer officials along. Because I think the narrative is now, right, from USA Hockey, they're well over the 27,000 official mark nationally. But the narrative isn't there's a lack of officials, there's a lack of experienced officials. And I think that's where the game is struggling right now. And I think that's what a lot of people would tell you.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that. I mean, you know, at most of your games, well, I haven't even seen you basically all year because, you know, they split us all up. I haven't seen Brad all year. I mean, a lot of the guys that we are friends with and talk to and hang out with, we just don't get to work with them because, you know, there are a lot of inexperienced officials and we need experienced officials on those games. So, you know, the reality of it is you have in a 3-man, you might have 1, maybe 2 experienced officials. You know, if you're the SHL, you probably got 3 or 4 good officials on your game. I mean, those top games are still getting top officials on them. But I think, you know, a lot of people are being given opportunities that when I started out, you'd have waited 3 or 4 years to get an opportunity to do 1 or 2 of those games. Now that's like your schedule for the day. Like, go at it. You got 6 games like that. So, you know, they are definitely being thrown into the fire quickly. You know, and I think we should talk about how to work with some of the newer officials, because a lot of times what we call an advanced development program, which is something that referees can sign up for or be invited to participate in, or you know, want to participate in it. I think we're a lot more open to taking pretty much whoever would like to learn nowadays, where before, no, we were only taking 30 officials into that program, and we had 2 tryouts, and you had to make it to get in there. That's how competitive it was at the time. Now it's pretty much open because we want to teach people how to do this and teach them properly and quickly. So,
yeah, I think, and that the key there, right, is to welcome all officials that want to learn, because the continuing education piece of officiating,
there's a check
is all right. Boom, there he is. I'm here for you, Brad. The big piece to officiating, and I think, you know, this is a theme that I've heard Pops say over and over again. This is a theme that I keep hearing over and over again right here on the Ref Room, is we need to continue to develop ourselves. And the continuing education part of it, the education in officiating doesn't end when your seminar is over with. Yeah. It's looking at your partners. It's talking to your friends. It's hanging out in the ref room. Novel idea. And Pops talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
The guys don't hang out in the room like they used to. And they're not well, I shouldn't say they're not. People do share war stories, but it always starts with, hey, did you hear what happened to this guy? Or did you hear what this coach said? Or what this parent said? It's not, hey, did you talk to Scott about his game the other day? He had a great experience, and I mean, I think that's going to go really far in, you know, helping a lot of other guys. It's not really, like, organically we're not learning from those situations. But that's what the Advanced Development Program does. It allows for some continuing education of officials outside of that traditional seminar, and it gives us a chance to talk about officiating things. And there's people that are so passionate here in Illinois that want to give back, and that do. And that's really the means that we have for taking the program forward right now.
Well, I'm starting to think that maybe, you know, we have an ADP program, but I almost think we need 2 more ADP type programs. I think we need one for our seasoned officials, the guys that are late level 2, early level 3, that have been around for a while, and that they could start getting some more insight and information and, you know, how to handle situations, how to do things. It is an ADP situation for them. I guess they could be in the ADP program. But, you know, when we get the guys and they come in and they do their first couple games, they get a mentor. And then, you know, they get to game 7, 8, 9, and like they've already developed bad habits. And maybe you get an evaluator that comes out and looks at them and tries to correct some of those problems. But the habits and problems are already, like, the list is long. It's more than you know, some of these people almost need to have another mentor come out and work with them after they've hit that 10 game, 15 game mark, and try to get them corrected, because a lot of these things could be fairly easy fixes, but there's just so many of them. It's overwhelming. So I think there, you know, we almost need some sort of an additional training program for some of those officials that are going to get serious and want to work a lot of games. I also think, you know, like, I got into the ADP program at an old age, and I caught some flack from it from a couple guys, like, oh, you're taking a spot from the kids. Well, you know, I wanted to learn the craft. I didn't want to be that guy that when I walked in the ring, it's like, oh no, we got this guy. I don't want to see him on my game, you know, and here he is. So I really, you know, I wanted to learn. And I think there's other guys that are at that point that work a lot of games, but they could use some help. They could use some training. They need, you know, even if they can get from here to here, it would make a big difference. So, you know, maybe hockey in general needs to look at developing more educational materials throughout the year, or, you know, seminars or classes. And I know not everybody wants to go to another seminar. They've got enough time invested and they're working games, but, you know, a lot of guys need it. A lot of referees need it. A lot of officials need it. That's the bottom line. And I think maybe we need to change the way we're thinking, where it's not just, you know, okay, you got your level 1 seminar, you're on the ice, you spend a few minutes. We have so many people at the level 1 seminars now that it's really hard to, you know, really get them through all those drills as much as you'd like and spend as much time as you'd like with each of those individual officials that are getting started, because the numbers are fairly large. And, you know, I think we need more training moving forward. That's my personal opinion. I don't know what you think about that, but I'd like to see more training.
Yeah, I 100% agree with it. It's ongoing. There are some avenues to do this. And I think locally we have been talking about doing something, whether it's a bi-weekly Zoom or anything to get people talking in a manner that welcomes them. To be honest with you, I know this particular program has done a great job of bringing officiating information to the people. You know, it started out of the pandemic, but to be honest with you, there is a ton of great content out here. And I would encourage people, if anybody's watching this and you haven't seen some of the back episodes, go back and check out some of these topics. It's worth it. But here's the other thing. We can continue to do this in a more collaborative environment with clips, with all of the live barn, all of the hockey TV, all of the YouTube games. I can't even tell you how many clips that I have of things.
I know. You're a
where
collector.
I love it. But that's me. And that's like my personality.
Yeah.
But just showing somebody one clip sometimes changes everything when they see somebody else's body language or they see an experienced person making a mistake. Honestly, everybody does it. The best officials in the world are making mistakes. I made one the other day. I was sharing a video with Bret in particular, and he made a comment about the high official, and I said, yeah, I know, that's me. And to be honest with you, I had beat myself up about it for 45 minutes because I already knew what I did, but it's a learning experience. Sometimes when you see it, it takes you back. It's like an out-of-body experience. And we can do this, and it's not just a video. It's not just a clips. It's everything. It's the community of officials sharing information to get better. Here's the thing. We're human, like I said. We're making mistakes. And I always say this in the seminars that I teach. Never let a good mistake go without a learning. Right. And damn it, I'll be honest with you, I make a ton of mistakes.
You find situations out there that you encounter once in 10 years, you've never seen before, you haven't seen it on a test, nobody's talked about it, and it happens. And it's like, hope I'm making the right decision here. Got to make an educated guess, an educated guess, because it happened. Then you find out, gee, I did the logic in my head. This is what I think it should be. But in reality, that's not what it should be. But guess what? Once you have that situation, it's locked into your memory. You're not going to make that mistake again for most people. They're going to remember the situation, and they're not going to put themselves in that position again to make the wrong decision. So, again, but, you know, that comes with experience. Everybody's got to be in that position to learn it. And because you can go scenario, scenario, scenario until it happens to you.
Correct.
And stuff will happen. I mean, you know, this happens all the time. That's why we do have the clips. But, you know, the problem with the clips, too, is, you know, we don't want to put anybody under the bus. I hope everybody that watches this show on a regular basis knows we're not here. We don't rip on anybody. We don't point fingers at anybody. We are not trying to put people under the bus. We're trying to educate people and help people. But the problem is if we go up and we do grab clips and show you something, somebody may be offended by that. Somebody may feel like they got pointed out for something. So you almost need somebody that's willing to go under the bus. Not really, but I mean, to have something pointed out. I mean, where we can actually show and teach people. I don't know if the answer is to go on to, you know, a live barn or something of that nature and go to an out-of-state game and find clips, but that doesn't mean that person won't be recognized. People know officials from all over the place, so I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know if that's something that needs to come from, you know, USA Hockey or from a local organization or non-sanctioned hockey. Maybe it needs to be you know, like rat hockey, that you go out and you capture footage of and you go, okay, let's look at some of these things. But, you know, you don't have refs at a rat hockey game. So I don't know what we would do. I'm open to suggestions. Maybe you guys can put something in the comments as far as what you think we should do with that, because we'd love to teach more about positioning and things of that nature without just going to diagram with X's and O's. That's not really exciting, and it doesn't really show you, you know, the real world and how it works.
Yeah, I often forget that when we do show clips, that it sometimes can be an experience that people don't enjoy. It's hard just watching myself sometimes, but a lot of the clips I do show, when I do make a mistake, I like to use my own examples if I have a larger audience, because I do want them to realize that I'm okay with it and I'm open to the feedback. I do view feedback as a gift, and that's why I like to share it. I will share it with some of my official friends and say, hey, just give me your point of view. I'm not going to tell you what I called on the ice, or I'm not going to tell you what my partner called or anything. I just want a point of view, because I know that officiating from the desk is not something that's ever going to happen. However, if I can put myself in a better position to be there the next time to make the right decision, then I've gained the knowledge that I need to do to get better. And, you know, it's one, like they say about experience, it's something you never had until just after you needed it.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. You know, and the idea of, you know, more training, you know, I don't know how many people out there really want more training. Like, do you want more training?
Not many.
Do you want more videos? You know, we do a lot right now, and you know, guys are out 5, 6, 7 days a week. They're working. You know, they got real jobs. They have day jobs too, or whatever. You know, like in my case, a weekend job.
Yeah.
But you know, you got stuff going on. So I don't know. You know, I think this is something that the hockey community really needs to discuss and figure out. And I would love to have some more clips available. I think that would be helpful. You know, Pop shared a few things that he had done on the side, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed that and found it to be very educational. And that's good stuff. Let's look at a couple of comments here real quick before we kind of continue. Alan checking in as always, and Alan says he misses you at Skokie. You know, so I take it you haven't been working in the men's league games over at Skokie. So I'm going to share my last men's league game this season. Now I'm going there tonight, but
all right,
I was hesitant. It required a couple text messages because I worked there a couple weeks back. What do you think the final score of the game was that I worked?
I'm going to guess that it had a lot of goals. I'm going to say 17-16 in overtime.
30-9. 30-9. 42 center ice face-offs before we have an offsides, a puck out of play, an icing, or a goaltender holding onto the puck and freezing it. That's 42 center line face-offs.
What happened?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not healthy for anybody. Not healthy for anybody. So I know they have a new hockey director. Mr. Glickman was on the show last week, by the way.
Oh, that's right. Actually,
You know.
I should have known that because I think you told us about that story. I should have known that.
Yeah, but you know, there is a new hockey director there, and I'm you know, I received a text message that he's open to making a change on with regard to that, and I would recommend he makes that change like now, because not going over there for 42 center ice faceoffs, okay? That's
I did
42
have
times I
one.
don't want to be in the middle of the ice rink, okay? Not the safest place to be, as we've told you guys. You know, that's not the safest spot to be. So, anyway, needless to say, thanks again
Thanks,
for checking
Alan. I
in.
appreciate the shout out.
Bill Green says, hey, Scott, what's up, Bill? Nice to hear from you. Always a pleasure. Facebook user, love working with both you guys. Bret brings a level of excitement, expertise, and fun to officiate that is so rare. Oh, it's Johnny Campbell, another great official. If you haven't had the pleasure of working with Johnny, he is good. And he's a good hockey player, too. And his son plays AAA, and just one of the good, all-around good guys. So thanks for checking in, John. I tapped an official who knew I was doing so. I taped an official, I'm sorry, who knew I was doing so. When he looked at it, he noticed that in the hands on the knees position, he was in a goalie stance.
Interesting.
I've seen some, you know, I have seen some interesting things. I had a guy that on his icing puts his arm under here and has to hold his arm up. You know, never seen it before. You know, there's little things that you catch when you go out and watch these games that you just go, wonder how he got into that habit. What would have caused you to have to put your arm underneath here to hold your arm up? You know, little stuff like that. Crazy.
Yeah, when you see the videos, it's changing. When I used to do this. I don't do this anymore because I've seen the video evidence. But when I gave a slashing signal, I swung my arms afterward, like unnecessarily, like behind me, really oddly. I don't really know what the heck I was doing, but like I would go to the scorekeeper, I would give the signal, and then I would like swing my arms oddly. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I picked it up. It was like a weird tick or something that I had, and let's not do that. Let's not do that.
You know, we do. We all get into some funny habits. I don't know how it happens or why, but, you know, you pick something up and all of a sudden you're doing something you didn't used to do. I'll tell you one of the things that I've gotten used to, and they always told us don't put our hands on our hips, but I do it a lot. And, you know, it's not meant to look like I'm giving a misconduct. It's just a resting position for me a lot of times out there. I know it's not the best thing. Some guys put their hands in their pockets. I had a young guy working with me. Yes, I'm like, please take your hands out of your pockets. It just doesn't look good. But, you know, I get it. You're cold. I understand. I totally understand. Some of these rinks are freezing. You know, like, where do you go to warm your hands up? To your pockets. Don't do it. But, you know, it's fairly common. You see it a lot. You know, I had somebody the other night, and they got up on the boards between periods. Sat on the boards. Like, get off the boards. What are you doing? You know, shouldn't be there. You know, just little things that you just take for granted, you don't think about, and you know, it happens. So, you know, I think that's where, you know, the senior officials or the experienced, I don't want to say senior, experienced officials need to help some of the younger officials or newer, less experienced officials with some of these things that they don't realize how it looks to other people that are watching the game or watching the replay. I think that's just something that, you know, we all need to do. And you know, please, if you are a less experienced official working with an experienced official, don't think they're picking on you. They're not picking on you. They're not trying to, you know, demean you by any means. They are trying to make you better. They are trying to get you ready to go to the next level if this is what you want to do. You know, they want you to look good working the best possible games that you're capable of working. So I think this is really, you know, it's not always easy to take feedback from somebody. Not everybody is comfortable taking feedback. It's very tough. You know, people think that you're picking on them or you're beating up on them. So, you know, some people you just have to be really careful with, and you know, got to, you know, try to work the best way you can. I don't know, do you have any techniques that you like to use, Bret, that work for you? I mean, you were telling me that you ended up working a game with a younger official the other day. It was a lower level game, but nowadays we're finding that a lot of our less experienced officials are finding themselves on some pretty high level games, and they're almost like, "What am I doing out here? Because I'm a deer in headlights, and I'm gonna die out here." And parents. Like, y'all think it's easy. You're easy to sit up there in the stands. Hey, I'd love to sit in the penalty box and call the game. I can have a hot chocolate. I can have the music going. I can be relaxing. I don't have to get out of a way of some player that's trying to clear the puck at 80 or 90 miles an hour that's not even looking, and the puck is coming at my head. I don't have four guys, trying to truck me along the blue line because they want to make a hit on somebody that doesn't need to be hit, and the official's behind them and is going to get the brunt of it. But, folks don't realize that. It's time for parents to, the people sitting up in the stands, the parents to realize it's not as easy as it looks, folks. And if you've ever come to a level 1 seminar and you think it's easy to drop a puck, that's probably, as I say on this show, my most fun thing to do at a level 1 seminar is to say, how many people think it's easy to drop the puck? And everybody in the room goes like this. And then we get out there, and I let them put the puck down 2 times, and I go, what happened to all the hands up that this was so easy? So
it's a humbling experience. The whole thing is.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Dropping a puck is one of the most difficult things you can do. I mean, it's relatively easy to drop a puck by just dropping the puck, but to do it well is very difficult. And I haven't seen it, but I've heard the stories of the NHL guys going out there pregame, dropping 150 pucks. The linesmen just going out there and practicing dropping the pucks, and these are the guys at the highest level of their craft. I wish we had the opportunity to do that. We can't even get it. We have to go to the stick and puck somewhere and do this, but it's difficult and super humbling. I mean, think about, I could tell you, I bounce a puck. Oh my goodness. I wanted to crawl in a hole. Yeah. But it's easy to do just by losing your focus, let alone, somebody who knows how to do it, but then you bounce one, just lose focus for a second and it's done. And the other piece I was going to say was,
that are so close and you just haven't separated them enough, and the puck doesn't make it down to their, to the ice. It's picked out of midair, and you're not happy about that. Trying to create some separation. I find a challenge nowadays. I don't know where this came from, and I've talked about it a lot, and that is the players want to have their helmets almost like glued together at the face-off dot. They're pushed beyond the hash marks that they're supposed to be in. Their head is here. You have no place to even put the puck down. You have to slide it underneath them. Like, here, let me throw you a little disc here, because the head's right in the way. Like, I don't know why they think they're getting an advantage. And now some of these guys think that they can, like the NHL, like they can just come in on the move to the face-off. It's like, not happening for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Even the NHL players, they stop before they come in. Like, they may come in like that, but they come to a complete stop, and that puck goes down. But
I think that's because they're getting instructions, and the linesmen are talking to them. When we talk to the centers while we're conducting the face-off and let them know our expectations out of the gate, we see that. And especially, the number of games that we're doing, to be honest with you, sometimes we just start going through the motions, and I'm just as guilty as the next. And we start dropping our face-off standards because we want to get the puck down, because we know the fastest way to not receive feedback in a world where we love to get feedback because everybody's got some for us. We know the easiest way to stop it is to get the puck moving. And that's the reality of the situation. But you're right, these players come in, they've got their helmets together, and we've been talking about this a lot, a handful of us in the rooms here and there, and really when we see this, we're trying to slow it down. We're stepping in between them, resetting, just resetting, stepping in between it, or before the players come in, I like to stand on top of the circle
Yeah,
where they can't get in.
I've
And they
had to
ask
do
me,
that
they go,
more
"Where are
and
you
more,
dropping the
and
puck?"
that's honestly that has become like the best thing. Like just getting on top of the circles so that they can't like crowd it so much, and then just back out before you get the puck down, and it just
Yep.
it gets things moving. And I find the other thing is, you know, being closer to that dot more than is better than being further away from that dot, getting the puck down. I think it is much safer. I know it sounds crazy, but I think if you get tighter that dot, for some reason, it almost jams the players up a little bit where they aren't as wild with the sticks because they don't have the space to pop the stick up on you. You know,
Yep.
it just seems to work well. And these are some of the things I think we really need to, you know, teach some of our less experienced officials, because, you know, you are dropping a lot of pucks out there, and the puck drop is a very important part of the game, making sure that you have a fair face off, that the players are lined up, that the players aren't encroaching from behind that are going to take you down, having knee bend. And, you know, Pops is watching. What's up, Joe? How are you, buddy? I want to just share a couple of these things because face-off stances and puck drops is something that all officials need to work on. And you're absolutely right with that, Joe. You know, if you watch the NHL officials, they are down so low. Their face is probably down at knee height to the players almost. They're in a good position to put that puck down, but they're working with professionals that understand what they're doing. They're not going to take the referee's eye out by popping him in the face with the stick. They're not going to fall down and have the stick come straight up on him. You know, they are the best in the business as well. And with that being said, we have a lot of officials that are standing straight up and dropping the puck. I had somebody the other night that's a less experienced official. They almost have the puck up at the players' heads, and they're like throwing the thing down, standing straight up. And these are just habits that we need to get them out of. They need some knee bend. They need an athletic stance. You know, all the things that just lead to safety. They need their face straight so that their face. I'm seeing a lot of officials now. I don't know why, but when we're out looking at officials, their faces are over the puck. I mean, they are completely have their face over the puck, and that is going to lead to a stick in the face, a puck in the face, something bad, player falling down, stick going up, you know, anything of that nature. And you know, that's a biggie. Let's see what else he says. He says, in the same way as skating, most officials are under the incorrect judgment that their skills are good and do not need review and practice. Yeah, well, you know, I think anybody that's been doing this for a long time knows that everybody needs to continue getting more skating, more edge work, especially edge work. Edge work is so critical for refereeing or officiating, to be able to work efficiently out there, to keep your balance, to make your tight turns, to get in and out of the way, to work those corners. You know, if you see an official that can skate, that has edge work, like, we can get them to the next level. We really can, because that's really half the battle. Can you skate the game that you're working?
Yep.
You know,
I'll tell you what. There are a group of dedicated people, older and younger, that for about 3 months, maybe 2.5 months, throughout the summer, are out power skating.
yeah. Yep.
2 to 3 days a week, every week, as much as they can, because they get it. Because it's the basis of everything we do. I was working this weekend with a high school player who was an official, and it's really difficult to translate referee official skating versus player skating. I could tell the person was a great player skater, but the skills needed to work a game, just were not there. And I struggle sometimes with, how do I correct that? Because they're not focused on that. They were out there for, as they should be, right? For the money. This is a young kid, this is this kid's job. He's out there for the money. If I tell him, you know, you should, you know, work on your skating, we could do this, that, the other thing, he's like, why would I waste my money on that? I skate for practice, blah, 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 blah. But long story short, you're 100% right. Pops is 100% right. Skating so critical, and the official skating is different.
Well, I know the ADP program tries to get ice, and they try to get ice donated. And, there are times at these rinks where you walk in there and it's prime time and there's nobody on the ice. And it's like, oh my God, like that's $600, $800 worth of ice just sitting there. We can't afford to buy that kind of ice all the time. But, it's a last minute thing. They had a late game, or they got held over the tournament and they didn't know they weren't going to need their sheet of ice. So it's not like you can prepare and plan hey, let's get a group of 20 guys and go skate. It's unfortunate because I would love to see us as a group get more skating sessions and, skating sessions throughout the year that are available to us. I don't know if, maybe the answer is we all need to start going to rat hockeys as a group of referees and just take half the ice for ourselves and do what we want to do. I mean, some of these places have 20 players on each team, or, they got 15 guys on each side. Yeah, it would be hard to do. All you could do at that point maybe is go referee their scrimmage for them, their rat hockey game. But, if there are places that have that stick and puck option and they're not getting, but 4 or 5 guys that go out there, it'd be nice to be able to pull that off once in a while. But it's always going to be odd hours. It's pretty tough if you worked men's league and you got home at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning and get to bed at 2 to get up for a 5 a.m. skate the next morning. It's just the reality of things. So yeah. Maybe A-High could help us and get us some more ice. That's something that, I would love to see happen. I know you guys do that with the ADP program, which you're actively involved in and giving back and helping our younger and more experienced officials trying to get to that next level. And I know it's tough for you guys to get ice. It is what it is.
We do have some coming up. So if you are involved in the ADP program, want to be involved in the ADP program, heads up. I believe we have secured some, and we're going to be getting some more. See, now that the seminars are over with and all of that, we do have some more time to put into that. Truth be told, resources were super thin, and we're all giving back. We're all volunteering. We're not getting paid for the extra stuff that we're doing. We're literally doing it because we love to do it. And now that we've got some of that stuff out of the way, we can get into it. But before we know it, we're going to be into the playoffs and everything else, and we're going to be right back into that cycle. So
it's hard to believe we are less than 2 months away from playoffs. You know that? We're in December now. Hard. Playoffs are at the end of January, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct for Tier 1? Are they the end of January, or are they?
Yeah, well, February, the first weekend of February, I believe the High Performance League goes into their playoffs. 2 months out, basically. Yeah, it's like the season's coming, the season's going to be long, it's already over. Like, before you blink your eyes, it's done. So, it moves too quickly. And let me say this, too. Like, we're talking about the less experienced officials. The people out there that schedule the referees, your senior officials need to be skating regularly. Let me say this again. Your guys that work, they need to skate regularly. They can't take 4 and 5 days off and then go skate 3 or 4 games back to back. It doesn't work for them. They need to be on the ice every couple days, even during the summer. Like, you need to give them men's league games or something to keep them on that ice, because if you have them sitting too long, it's just not good for them either. And they need to stay sharper. It's harder as you get older to stay sharp than it is when you're young. You could take a week or 2 off, doesn't bother you. For the guys that are my age, you take 3 or 4 days off, you feel it when you come back. Like, I could skate the game or 2, but like 3 or 4 games in a row, it's a little tougher. I could do it, during the season if I'm in shape and we're doing this regularly. It's not a problem. But take 4 days off and then come back and try to skate 4 or 5 games in a day. It's rough. Just real quick, I think you said I was young.
Well, you're look, compared to me, everybody's young. Okay. You guys are youngsters by comparison. So.
Oh, my wife tells me I think I'm 30, and I'm not.
We all do.
So,
I think you're 30. I think I'm 30.
that's a good point. We
But
are only as we believe
but
we are.
yeah, yeah. But one of the beauties of being an official is it allows us to stay in shape and stay in the game that we love so much. So that is one of the greatest rewards I get from hockey. That's why I do this. I just love it. So
Yep.
I want to be out there. I want to be skating. I want to be working good hockey games. I want to be out there being challenged and tested and put in situations that most people would cringe if they were put in that situation. I like it. I like, I don't mind being in the kitchen with the fire going, okay? I like it. So,
It's good. It's why we do this.
It's not for everybody. I will say that. It is not for everybody. And I think that's another thing that, I kind of want to touch on because, as we've gotten more and more officials in and, we've gone younger and younger getting the officials in, this is not for everybody. I'm not going to kid you. It's not for everybody. If you are shy, timid, if you are not playing hockey on a regular basis at a decent level, this is probably not the call it profession or the job that you should be doing. I don't think you're going to be successful with it. I think you need a certain personality. I think you need a certain level of skating ability. I think you need a certain amount of knowledge about our game. I think you need experience in our game. We have a lot of officials that come in, and it blows my mind, and some of them have become really good officials, but they never played hockey. They never played organized hockey. I wouldn't pretend to go become a football umpire. I never played football. Could I pick it up having been an official? Maybe, but, wouldn't be the same because, I don't know all the tricks of the trade that the players and, the dirty stuff that they can do. I don't know about it because I didn't experience it. I didn't do it when I was growing up. Hockey, yeah, I know what to look for. I know what you're going to do. I know before you do what you're going to do. I know who's going after somebody before they know they're going after somebody. That's part of being in this game and understanding it. And I think for the officials, I know parents probably push you into this because it's, you're not working French fries. You're not going to come home smelling like French fries. And, you're not going to be getting barked at. I need another soft drink over here. This is probably a much nicer job with a schedule that you can choose. And they're not going to tell you, no, you have to be here at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday and Saturday, because we need you. And you'd be like, well, I don't want to get up. Well, with hockey, you don't have to because you kind of pick your schedule. But this still probably is not the spot for you to be in if, you don't have some of those skills that we just talked about. And unfortunately, I think we do have a lot of people that come in that expect that it's going to be very easy. And just because they own a pair of skates, they're going to be able to do this job. And it's not the case.
No, it's not. And I think that the good news is officiating, if you have just a fraction of those skills, can help you on a lifelong journey of those things, of further developing, I would say, some of those skills. I would say that some of the young officials that we have out there that I've seen just, in my short time here in Illinois, I've seen some of these kids grow up from players and officials to young adults with communication skills and problem-solving skills and stress management and how to deal with irrational people. Like, they're developing real-world skills that you cannot learn in any trade school, in any college setting, and it's wonderful to watch these people grow up and become like awesome people. And those are some of the things, like, it really, like, I get a little bit emotional thinking about it because I think about when I first met some of these kids, and I'm like, wow, they become like awesome adults.
Yeah, we've seen some of them really grow up because we've seen them come in as teenagers And, now they're in their early 20s. Some of them have been around, even longer than that. And, yeah, they become some really remarkable people with some really remarkable skills. And they show up, they get from point A to point B, they go around the country, they're there on time, they look the part, they want to be the part, they're looking to go to that next level. And it's so cool to see because, when they came out there, they too could not drop the puck. They too had positioning issues. They too were not the best skaters. Now some of them can be teaching the class because they've gotten really, really good. And nothing is more exciting for me than to see those people just going from here to here. It's a great feeling, and it's a great give back. So I really I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. And that was the problem when hockey was on lockdown. These are life skills that people need, and this is why we needed hockey and needed to continue. And if you're passionate about the game, and I say this, I'm a fan of the men's league guys coming over to referee. You're playing on your A-League or Elite League team, and you've hit that 35 or 40-year mark, and you're not the fastest guy in that A-League team anymore. And they might think you might want to go play in the C-League or the B-League. But you've got a lot of hockey experience. You've got a lot of knowledge. You've been out there. You understand how the game is played. You've played at the levels. You've played where you know what's going on out there. Maybe it's time for you to come think about coming over and becoming an official. I'm a fan of getting some of those guys that are 35, 40 years old that understand hockey and have been around the block. I love seeing those guys come in because we can teach them. We can teach them pretty quickly, and they get it. They can stand up to a coach that's having a stressful day. They can stand up to a parent that's just had a few in the parking lot and decided that they're going to spout. I like those guys. I wish and encourage more of them to come out and join us. And, we'll teach you. We will teach you. You can get that ADP class in about 3 hours working 2 games with some of us, okay? I kid you not. We'll take you from here to there. So think about that for next season. It's never too late. You can always get in. Anything else you want to cover with the young people and newer officials that we haven't covered?
I think, really, I talk about this a lot. Communication and feedback. The more we can communicate, you talked a little bit about it earlier, is being a little bit shy, not really knowing when to speak, but little things with looking coaches in the eye, working with the off-ice officials, be it the parents in the score box or whoever they are, just being able to communicate with them and the players, letting them know that you know what's going on out there. It really just creates a different environment where all the feedback doesn't always have to be negative coming from the coaches. Sometimes they're actually offering up quality information that we can use. Sometimes it's not, but sometimes it is. And let their eyes be your eyes. Let their voice flow into your ears without constantly having a negative opinion of it. And you can change that simply by opening yourself up at the beginning of the game, by letting them know, hey, I'm here, and I realize that communication is the key to this game today. And sometimes games go sideways, no doubt. However, we're going to work through it by communicating, and that's it. And sometimes people don't have those life skills yet, and we're working on it. And that's the point that I'm trying to make here. As an more experienced official, and we're working with the lesser experienced officials, we can model this behavior. We can show them how to communicate appropriately with players and with coaches. And honestly, with your partner or partners. And when we do those simple things, things start to work for us. So you're open to feedback because you know how to talk to your partner. you're open to feedback because you know how to work with the coaches. And we're not always going to agree, and they know that. And hey, shout out to the coaching education program, by the way. Sat through a level 2 coaching seminar last week with the local Illinois coach in chief. Shout out to the program that they put together on that. I kind of went in on them a little bit at some point about not talking about the rules, talking about, communication with the officials out there. They put a nice program together, honestly. I thought they did a great job of talking to the coaches about how to work with the officials, not against them, and actually going through some of the odd rules.
Please share. Please do share. I'd love to hear that because I actually would like to do one of those coaches seminars. I'd like to see, because, we all say, well, they get the rule book that's this thick. They don't get the rule book that's this thick.
True.
I'd love to hear some of the differences in what they kind of go over because, look, I think we have some wonderful coaches. Let's not kid ourselves. We have some great coaches out there. Unfortunately, we have a lot of teams, and not everybody is going to get a former NHL player that is a hockey director that knows everybody in the United States, knows all the programs, knows everything. Those guys are far and few between. But, we've got a lot of great coaches out there, and, we see them. And when you work the higher level games, you see those guys. You get to know them. They're reasonable. They understand what we do. They understand we're not going to agree with them on everything that they say, and vice versa. But I will tell you this. There are coaches out there that literally, I'm not going to use any names. If you're a coach that doesn't say much, and all of a sudden you say something to an official, I think you've got that official's attention. But when you're a coach that sits on the bench and screams offside on every play, even if it's 15 feet, and it's not offside, they just scream offside. They scream icing all day long. They scream interference all day long. It's just nonstop. You got 4 of them back there doing the same thing. Let me tell you something. Those officials aren't going to listen to you when you actually have a legitimate reason to want to speak to them. You saw something. You've seen 15 offsides that you called offside on that weren't even close, but you're just screaming. No official in their right mind is going to come over and talk to you. You've cried wolf too many times. If you haven't said a word all day and all of a sudden you've got a gripe over something, trust me, that official is coming over, and they're coming over immediately to hear what you have to say. They want to know, because either they missed something or there's a lack of communication somehow, and it's going to get fixed. But these are the things that coaches need to be aware of with the officials. And, you see it. The coaches that I'm referring to that cry wolf all day for no reason.
All day. I know exactly who they are.
Unfortunately, as our least experienced officials work a lot more of these games with the coaches that have less experience as well.
And by the way, I think it's important. I think it's important to say some of these games that the new officials are working are some of the hardest actual games to work. To go back, and I do try to do as many, I think it's kind of well known that I believe that the most important game is the game that you're assigned to at that moment, and you should treat it as such. But sometimes when you get these games and you realize the real life struggles that some of these new officials are going through, because not only are they less experienced, but their counterparts on the bench are also less experienced. It's a little humbling in the other direction, because we assume sometimes, and this is true for me, I assume that they should be doing a pretty decent job because the game should be pretty simple to officiate. But the reality of the situation is sometimes they're the most difficult games, because everybody has it, like I mentioned this earlier, everybody has an opinion, but everybody's got an opinion on volume 10 in these games, not just 5 people, everybody in the building. because they're passionate. It's their kids. And when anything happens with people's kids, watch out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you'll sit up in the stands. You could be evaluating a game, watching the officials, and you hear all these parents like, they're not calling anything. They're not calling. I'm sitting watching the same game. There's nothing to call.
Right.
I don't see anything that should have been called. And they're like, well, they're the referees. They're just not calling anything. What do you want them to call? Want them to phone a friend? Because that's about the only thing that they should be calling right now. There's nothing happening out there. You know, it's a yawn game. You know, like nothing. Like watching paint dry. Everybody's just out there playing. Nobody's doing anything stupid. They're getting the offsides right. They got the icings right. What more do you want? They've done a good job. They've done their job. Yeah, they've managed the game well. Yeah, exactly. But you know, a lot of, I don't know. I think maybe the parents come out and decide they want to watch the referees more, or you know, it's always the referee's fault if their kids are not winning or they're not playing as a team. It's the ref's fault. You know, that's who they look to, you know, to blame sometimes. And that has nothing to do with being a less experienced official or a more experienced official. That's just the reality of it. But anyway. All right. Well, communication too, that, you know, when you're working with your partners, you guys need to have good verbal communication. Talk before the game. Talk between periods. Talk about things. You know, sometimes there's things that you should just wait till after the game to talk about. Maybe not, you know, there's something that you're seeing that needs to change. You know, maybe between periods is not the place for that or the time. But, you know, hand signals, you know, just being on the same page, like go in that direction. That direction. Little hand signals just makes it that much easier for somebody. You know, and that's what we do at a higher level. And you don't always see that at a lower level. You know, but just telling your partner, hey, I want you to go that way, makes life a lot easier than guessing, am I going this way or this way or this way, which is what you see. And then you have both officials in the same zone. It's because they're not looking at each other. You know, just communicate. So little things, lots of little things that we can go through and kind of help some of these younger officials. Let's go through. I got a few more comments in here before we start to really wrap things up. Here we go. One from Joe. Scotty, a great idea for practice sessions. Monday, Tuesdays have few games, and there must be open ice in the multiple rink facilities. 20 officials kick in, $25, hour classroom, hour of ice. You know, Joe, I agree with that, but I didn't realize this. But did you know, like, those weekdays from like 6 to 9 or 6 to 10 are the most expensive ice slots in the building in all these rinks? Because they only have like three sheets of ice that night available. If they're hour 15, hour and a half, that is the prime time ice. I mean, the reality of it is we'd probably have to be 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, to get something that's affordable. You know,
yeah, the reality
it's just not available. Those slots are booked. Because trust me, you'd have guys that have men's rentals that would grab those sheets in a heartbeat if they could, for those time slots. And after some pizza and adult beverages to rehydrate. Yes, I thoroughly agree with rehydration. That is very important. They have heat back at Skokie. Good to know, Alan. I'm hoping that's the case, because that was one of the colder buildings I worked in when I was there a couple weeks ago. So I'm looking forward to it being back the way it used to be. Because that ice used to be great, and it was always comfortable in that building to work. You never had to worry about your toes and your fingers freezing. Last time I was in there, that baby was cold. Hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers, followers, view, chat bots, the price. Oh, please. Spam elsewhere, spam bot.
Hit it.
I will be hitting block for you, okay? Let's see here. Speaking of coaches, this entered my mind. Make a circle with your fingers. Dialogue, a circle has 365 degrees. Even that just happened, has 365 different views. Well, you're absolutely right. You know, things that you think look really bad from one side, if you're standing right next to them, you sit there and go, like, that wasn't even a bump, or the guy dropped to his knees before he was even hit. You know, yeah, I agree. And
Yeah,
that
let's
is
just
more
make
the
sure we're not
truth.
over rotating there. I don't want to over rotate because
Yep.
if you go 365, you're going to be about 5 degrees past center. So let's just make sure we're at 360 if we
Yeah.
could.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Does that mean we're 182 and a half?
Yeah, that's right. I think there was a confusion there between
Yeah.
days in a year
Days
and
in a year
degrees in a
and
circle.
degrees. Yeah. No, it's
It's
funny.
okay. We got you. We're here for
Yep.
you.
Yep. Yep. But you're absolutely right. And Joe says Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you, Joe.
Merry
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas to
Joe.
you. Happy New Year. Happy holidays, everybody. Whatever you celebrate. Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or whatever they. Festivus for the rest of us, right?
Rest of us, yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. So, all right. Well, Bret, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. You've always got so much insight to share, and you know, you're a great mentor to so many of us that are out there and constantly giving back, and a pleasure to work with. So, if you ever have a chance to get on a game with Bret Straley, you know, definitely click that box because it is a treat. I will tell you that right now. Nobody works harder out there than Bret does. Bret's one of the good guys and does a great job for us. He's also one of the board members of IHOA, and you know, involved. So working all over the country too, I believe, right? You're working some of those other leagues and working some pro hockey and having some fun at age 30. At age
30,
30,
as they say. Let me check. Yeah, 30.
yeah,
Yep,
okay,
30.
yeah,
But you know what? Again, it's the people, it's the experience, it's all of it. It's not just the games, it's everything.
yeah,
And you nailed it. Having fun.
yeah. That's what it's
Sometimes
all
it's the
about,
last
honestly.
item on our list, but we do have to remember it should be the first item. Because if we're not having that, we're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah. It's, if you know, listen, if you're not having fun out there, you won't want to be out there. Trust me, you won't want to be out there because it won't be fun, and that's not what you want. You want to have a good time out there, and you want to have a great time. Oops, hit the rotate button. Anyway, all right, guys, have a great holiday. Mr. Baumruck will be back next week at the same time, same bat place, 5:30 p.m. Chicago time, right here. If you'd like to support the channel, please feel free to go to buymeacoffee.com/refroom. You can buy us some caffeine. We always appreciate that. Helps support what we do here. And you know, the replays are up on YouTube, Refroom, youtube.com/c/refroom. I think I got that right. So anyway, basically all you can do is Google Refroom. We show up, okay? That's what it comes down to. Bret's been a great supporter of our channel over the years, so thank you for that, Bret, and thanks for coming on here. You know, we love having you. You got to do it more often.
Well, thanks for having me.
More often.
I enjoy it. It's, you know, anytime I have the chance to hang out in the ref room, I want to do it. So whether it's the channel or the actual ref room,
that's right.
If you find me in there, I'm sure my family will tell you that I get undressed the slowest of anybody they've ever seen. So
that's slower than me. Always first one there, last one out, you know. First one on the ice, last one off the ice. That's how I've always been. You know, I enjoy being there. So, all right. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it. We will see you. Frankie's here. Frankie says hello. I don't know if you can see her. Jump up here, Frankie. Yeah, there she is. She's
Frankie,
right by my side.
yep, I see her now.
Yeah, yeah, she's always right here. She's giving me the nudge. Time to wrap it up, Dad. I want to go back outside and look at squirrels, but there's no squirrels now because it's too dark out. So, all right. Yep, there it goes. All right, we'll see you guys next Monday, 5:30 p.m. right here on the Ref Room. Once again, Scott Smokin Silz from Chicagoland with my man Bret Straley. Thanks for doing this, Bret. Brad will be back next week. You guys all have a great week. Peace out, everybody. Take care.